Welcome back, everyone, to Student Dream TV, bringing you the best money, startup, and investing tips so that you can secure the bag before and after graduation. And today we're going to continue on with our keynote series where I'm interviewing some of the best entrepreneurs, investors, business leaders to help give you insight on how you can still make money and survive financially during and after this crisis. So if that's something you want to do, keep listening. All right, you guys, I'm so excited to be here with a friend of mine, someone who I've known for, wow, probably the last 7 years. We both kind of got started around the same time, met you at a conference, Nichelle, and she is just the GOAT when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to, Cleveland entrepreneurs. She has been super successful. She sold, did you sell your first company?
I did sell it, but I can tell you more about that story.
Yes. She didn't sell her first company, but she sure did raise $500,000 for that first company. She is a full-time entrepreneur, just an awesome woman in business. And so I'm really excited to speak with her today. So Nichelle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And so we can just start off. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio. Whoop, whoop. So, but just a tech entrepreneur, just trying to help others. So, been able to do that in various ways. I've been an entrepreneur, a full-time entrepreneur myself now for 10 years, which is crazy to think about that. Started in the Great Recession.
Wow.
So as I was finishing up grad school, but in that experience, decided to start my own company, ended up being a consultant, eventually started my own software company. As you mentioned, raised $500,000 for that. And now, oddly enough, have returned back to being a tech entrepreneur while helping other entrepreneurs, but working on my next software company that helps small businesses. So it's been a pretty exciting journey for sure.
I love it. And it would be great to kind of get a little insider's view of that journey. I think hearing people's stories really helps us to just see that there's so many different paths to accomplishments and to fulfilling our dreams. So can you tell me just a little bit about the story of Bold Guidance and the current company that you're working on?
Yeah, so Bold Guidance was really started out of initially my consulting business. So I mentioned to you before how my entrepreneurial journey started out of actually unemployment.
Yeah, that's real.
And so for me, I was finishing up grad school and was being recruited for a job opportunity and, had turned down other jobs for it. This was the perfect job for me. And then at the last minute, they decided to go into another direction. And so I found myself unemployed. At that same time, I actually was then responsible to have to take care of my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. And my uncle who was autistic.
Wow,
So
it's a lot.
So was in a place where, I didn't have a job while being responsible for taking care of my family, and decided that moment that I would never leave my financial future in the hands of someone else. Like 2 snaps on that. So that's where I really got started on starting my own company. From that, it took me a while. It took me almost a year before I got my first client because I didn't fully understand some of the basics of how do you find your right paying customer and how do you actually create solutions based on their challenges. So as I learned that, eventually, made more money in my consulting practice than I ever had working for someone else, turned that idea into, okay, how to leverage software. And that's how we came up with Bold Guidance that helps students navigate the college application process. And I mean, that was quite a journey, you know, being able to connect with different successful mentors, similar to just how Student Dream, you
Mm-hmm.
know, is doing that with a lot of people. And they actually gave me the guidance on how to create a business based on people's challenges. And that's how I was able to raise that $500,000 within a year.
Mm.
That's how we were able to, you know, be featured in Essence and Black Enterprise and Fortune and all these other different places. It's just being able to truly build a business based on your customer's challenge. And that's what we're doing now with our current software company, Brainwork, which actually helps to create high quality blog posts in minutes.
Wow.
So the manual
Helpful.
process, we basically automated all of that. So it's been pretty exciting journey thus far.
Wow. That's amazing. 1, 2, 3. So you're on your third company now, right? So you've probably seen so much. Talk to me about the genesis of these ideas, right? Because I think sometimes it can be hard for students who maybe they're saying, hey, I've watched Shark Tank, I've watched other entrepreneurial shows on TV, and I want to do this, but I don't really have an idea yet, but I don't want to put my financial future in the hands of someone else. Like, tell me about the genesis of your idea.
Yeah. So I'll use, you know, Brainwork even as an example for that. So in general, for the last several years, I've also been coaching and training entrepreneurs and starting and growing their own businesses. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been running accelerator programs and providing online courses. And through working with a lot of entrepreneurs and being an entrepreneur myself, realizing that a lot of the things that people were struggling with the most were, how do you market to your client? How do you stay relevant? How do you actually, you know, help them to understand the value of your product?
Mm.
And part of the issue that a lot of entrepreneurs were running into was that they created solutions based off of their own passion, but didn't validate if that was something that their customers wanted.
Mm.
And so like what we did, you know, with this software company is, as I was talking to these entrepreneurs, asking them, well, what is your biggest pain point with marketing? What is your biggest pain point with blogging specifically? Because it's a form of content marketing, right?
Yes,
And it's awesome because it costs way less than paying for ads.
that's true.
um, And so figuring out and talking to over 100 different companies and businesses, asking them, what is your biggest challenge with blogging to your customers? And hearing from them, you know, we're having issues with figuring out how to save time. It takes 3.5 hours to do this. We're having issues with figuring out how to increase our brand, how to improve our SEO. And based on that, then creating a solution to address those specific challenges. But you have to engage with your customers the entire way. And that's what we did. We created a clickable prototype, showed it back to those same customers. We're able to get over 50 people to sign up for it before we even built the software. And you know, the rest of it, I can share the rest of that story with you, but it's been an amazing journey.
That's great. That's great. So just really being able to identify what the real problem is in the market and with your customer and building a solution for that, and then getting that constant feedback from them by just showing them a prototype. That's really helpful. And so as we look at one of the biggest customer problems that our students face right now, right? A changing job market that is, many parts of it looks very discouraging. You know, what career and financial advice do you have for students who are recent graduates, the class of 2020, and they're just trying to navigate this new normal?
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a combination of a couple of things. So I think for me, you know, when I was in a similar place, definitely part of it was, you know, having to go back home.
Yep.
So there's just that real situation of if that is an option for you, being able to leverage that, because it's just a financial burden that you may not have to put on yourself. But then two is figuring out how to make money to address a challenge based on my skill set. And that's what, that's what I was able to do. So, there's a lot of people who are trying to learn something. So if I know that, I'm really good at branding and marketing, right? Let me talk to other small business owners and ask them, what is your biggest challenge with branding and marketing? Hear from them what they see are their biggest challenges, and then figure out, based on your skill set and based on their challenges, how can you craft a 1, 2, 3 solution to be able to address that and then sell it to them. And that's a way of being able to create an entrepreneurial idea without it costing a lot of money. That just simply costs your time.
Yes. That's a great perspective. That's a great point, right? It's like you may not have the money, but you certainly have the time. You have a pen and a paper, and you can reach out and start asking people for just the answers to the questions that you have. That's a good point.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is if people decide to go into a job afterwards, it actually gives them a leg up. Because as an employer, they're then going to see, wow, this person has drive, initiative, they're creative, they're a problem solver. That's someone that I want to have on my team.
Mm-hmm. And so what is something that, you wish you knew 10 years ago, right? When you were first starting off, you're like, dang, someone should have told me this. I would have been so much further ahead.
Right? Yeah. Honestly, it boils back down to creating a solution for my customers' challenges. So like, I think one is, I'm gonna answer this in 2 ways. The first thing that I wish someone would have told me before I knew I was going to become an entrepreneur was that everything is going to be okay.
That's good.
Like, even though it feels like chaos at this moment and it feels like a lot of uncertainty, like you'll be able to get through it. So one, I would have never known that 10 years later I would still be an entrepreneur.
Wow.
Blessed to purchase multiple homes, and I'm now married.
Come on, say that one more time. Multiple homes, and she got a ring. Let's go. I am totally not for that like solo dolo route. I'm like, man, I'm trying to get married. I'm trying to have a house. I'm trying to have some babies, and I'm trying to have some company. So that's the dream. That's Nena's dream, y'all. That's Nena's dream. and just you guys, if you have found if you guys have found any part of this interview valuable, make sure you just hit that like button. All right. That's the way that you can pay us for creating this value for you. And let us know in the comment section, what are some of your biggest questions around starting a company? Thank you, Nichelle. Keep going.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, like that's the biggest part, that it's going to work out. So then on the flip side of just like the practical thing, as I said, like I wish when I decided that I was going to start my company that I had a better understanding of going to the customers first, validating their biggest challenges, and then using my skills and gifts and talents to create a solution based on that. I think it wouldn't have taken me nearly as long to, create value and make money and make it consistently had I been aware of that from the beginning, versus just simply solely thinking about, oh, I have this passion and this skill set. Let me create a business based on that. You have to be able to connect the two. You have to connect what the customers are saying are their challenges, because sometimes they communicate the challenges differently than how we think about the challenge. So you need to connect what the customers say are their challenges, create a transformational solution based on that, and then understand how to sell that. Because sometimes we get a little nervous with being able to sell, and that's a way of serving. You have to be able to serve.
Come on, yes. Tell me a little bit more about that, right? Because a lot of times when we think about sales, we think about used car salesmen. And I used to work at an incredible sales company, Greenhouse Software, and they really just showed me so much about sales. I had such a great experience with them. And I'd love for you to just tell us a bit more about that, because you do have to sell, but it's not some sleazy thing that you have to do. So talk about it.
Yeah. And that's a big part of it. And even for, interesting enough, a lot of my clients that I talk to with my course, they struggle with some of the same thing. It's like having a heart for service, but not understanding that, sales is service. And so part of it is, how is it that you're going to help someone and get a solution to them if they don't know about it?
Come
And
on.
so we have to be able to not only reach out to them, but sales doesn't have to be, as you said, kind of the used car salesman approach, but in a sense of, you're asking them questions, right? Figuring out what are their biggest challenges, why is that a challenge, how is that impacting them, what are their goals, and you're just taking them on a journey
That's
of
good.
understanding where they want to be and how you can then help them get there. That's how you do sales. And that's one of the things I've talked to with a lot of my clients, and sometimes in many cases actually providing them a sales script so that
Yeah.
they understand you are helping to solve their problem. If you want to serve, you have to get the message out them to them, because how
Right.
else are you going to help them? And go through this question process, and then basically you'll be in a place where you can make the sales that you want to make.
That's great. And I mean, I love how you're so able to see some of the challenges that your clients are facing. When you think about the challenges that our students are facing, what would be some of the solutions that you would draw up for them as with their goal of wanting to financially thrive, not just during this crisis, but for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? What would be your counsel to them?
Mm. And so can you elaborate on that question a little bit for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the big things that, we do here at Student Dream, we are training young people of color to build wealth. And part of building wealth is thinking of yourself as an investor. And so when I look at you, you have invested in yourself, you have invested in a company, you've invested in real estate, you have invested in learning to really be able to see opportunities and capitalize on them. And I think that even though there are so many doors that have been closed during this season, there are so many doors that have been opened and opportunities. So it's kind of like, what are the opportunities that you see happening in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years that you would want to prepare students towards, or really like point them to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one, just the online market has as a whole
Yeah.
is definitely going to be continuing to boom. I mean, in general, just online learning at this point is growing significantly, and that looks different for different people. So it's not just simply online learning with your college courses. We're talking about teaching people expertise or a skill so that they can actually understand how to do something, because now they can't go somewhere to get
Come
it, right?
on. Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot more people who are going to be looking to learn skills online through someone teaching them that. So whether it's providing your own courses or trainings or whatever that may be, you're going to find more people looking for services online. So if you have a skill set, if you're thinking about starting a business, figuring out how to put that in an online platform is going to be helpful. If you are thinking about the fact that in general, there's going to actually be, originally, I think it was projected for like 2023 or so, that almost half of our working population would be freelancers. I think it might
Wow.
be accelerated now due to COVID.
Yeah.
But thinking about the fact that most of the population for the United States will be freelancing in some capacity, how can you even create a solution for that group of where things are going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're starting to look at trends, there's an opportunity for us to sometimes get ahead of that trend and create solutions for things that are going to be coming. So I think that that's a big part of what people can be doing even now and like leading into the future, and understanding it takes time, right? So we don't just put something out there and then we're a millionaire in a year,
Right. Tell
right?
them. Tell them.
You gotta just keep testing it. And I think part of what is important for us to learn is that failure isn't failure, it's learning.
That's so good.
And as long as we put something out there, if it doesn't get us the exact results of what we were looking for, it's like, okay, let me study this to figure out what can I do a little bit differently. Or sometimes it's just that you have to do it long enough for it to actually catch more traction. So I want to encourage people too that like persist and be consistent. Like those are some of the two most important things, is to be consistent and continuing to put things out there. But even when things feel a little hard, continue to persist and push through that as well. So yeah, I think the online marketing is huge. Real estate right now is definitely great.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like what makes you say that aside from the obvious? Just kind of educate our students and myself more about that. Let me not act like I know everything, because one of our values here at Student Dream is humility.
Amen. Yes, I mean, it's going to be great for multiple reasons. One, because I think just some of your traditional buyers, not all, there's still some who are purchasing houses, but some of your traditional buyers are going to be kind of holding back on purchasing, just, you know, and understandably, there's uncertainty. They don't know what's going to be happening with their jobs. They don't know what's going to be happening with their money. So all of that meaning that there's going to be more of a surplus, in a sense, of housing that's going to be available for those who may be interested in investing. For those who are first-time home buyers, you have the opportunity of doing an FHA loan, meaning that you only have to put 3.5% down for a down payment versus the traditional 20%.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of it, and this is what I encourage people, this was our strategy, is that also look at multifamily homes.
Yep.
So, and you know, the couple of houses that we have and then the other one that we're about to buy, they're all multifamily homes, right? All of them. So that way.
Can I just pause for a second? Because I'm just having a moment right now. Like y'all, Nichelle and her husband clearly are the student dream. You're talking about our vision of creating Black wealth. They got the wealth of family going on. They're married, strong Black family, strong Black man, strong Black woman. They got the wealth of multiple assets with their home. They got the wealth of multiple companies. They have the wealth of their faith, and they have the wealth of their health, and they have the wealth of, she's talking about another family home. So we just gotta praise God real quick.
Amen. He gets the full glory. I get nothing. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Sorry, I just had to celebrate. Had to do a little praise break.
Yeah, full on glory.
Right.
And honestly, real talk. Like, without that faith foundation, none of this would have happened. Because even when I lost that first job, my experience was I was unemployed for almost a year.
Wow.
After finishing up grad school. I couldn't find a job for almost a year. But like, God met me in that moment, because every single time that my savings got down to like literally its last like $10, $20 in my bank account.
I know what that's like.
Ooh.
I've been there.
But a check would come in the mail that will all of a sudden cover me for another 10 months. And this happened to me twice. Like, and I wasn't working. So that check didn't come from work.
Wow.
And literally when my last check came in and I had this conversation with the Lord, and I said, like, can you get me a job, a part-time job by my birthday, so I can still focus on building this business, but I need to make some regular money. Don't you know that I started a part-time job on my birthday?
Wow.
So me and the Lord have been rocking it heavy in all of my businesses. And without partnering with him, like, none of this would have happened. He found me the first house that we have. We prayed around this current house that we have, and even with the next house that we're about to buy. So like, I am a strong believer too, that you have to partner and have the Lord be the CEO and you be the director.
Wow.
And when you operate in that way, like, you're going to be successful. It's not going to always be easy, but you will be successful, because you're not trying to put everything in your own strength, in your own hands, but the one who owns it all is going to be directing it.
Man, that takes a lot of burdens off. So I appreciate you for sharing that perspective too. And so I guess as we start to wrap up, Nichelle, what would be, what do you think are some questions that our students should be asking and answering in this season?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think part of it is, understanding, I think, a little bit more of yourself, right? So where are you in your current season? What are your strengths? What are some areas that, you think that not only do you know that you're strong in it, but other people say like, you're just naturally talented and good at this. What is it that people always go to you for? And start to think about how can you leverage that? So whether it is using that for, for that next job opportunity, and being very, because it's easier when you're very clear on what you bring, on your assets and what you bring to that job, or if you're using that for actually creating your own business. I think that that's going to be really helpful for you. And then also, even for the future as well.
Yeah.
I never knew that I was going to be into tech. That was not my career path. My undergrad major was in physical therapy.
Hey.
But I've been leveraging some of the same skill sets across the different kind of jobs and careers that I've had over the years. And when you have a clear understanding of just kind of your own natural gifts and talents, you'll be able to leverage that regardless of where you are. And know that sometimes, your career is going to change. So as I said, I started in physical therapy, then went to a nonprofit and giving out grants, and now
that's so good.
Entrepreneur. So
that's important for a lot of the young people to hear, because I think especially when you have to pick your major and you have to find a job after graduation, you oftentimes want to really box yourself in because you want to make the right decision. And I've felt that times multiple, that I have felt that way multiple times, but I've come to realize that it's just one step at a time, and making one commitment to something for a certain period of time does not have to mean a lifetime. So that's really helpful. And I guess my last question, I always like to throw this in there because one of the things that has really been just water to my soul over the last few weeks has just been music, and just the power of music to motivate you, get you through a season. And so if you were to describe just your story, right, your success story in 3 songs, your playlist, like what would be the 3 songs on that playlist?
Ooh, that is a good question. So I would say one of them, I think, is just Jill Scott, Live My Life Like I'm Golden.
I love it.
Live my life.
Yes, go.
So that would be one of them.
Which is the song?
Oh, Jill Scott, Live My Life Like Golden.
Oh, Live My Life Golden. Yes. I love it.
Another one, and this is old school, but
let's go there. We gotta let the young folk know.
Right. So this is actually Smokey Norfolk, I Need You Now.
Smoking's not that old, but that's 90s, 2000.
Yeah, it's not old school. It's
right.
Middle.
It is.
But it's old school for our 2020 graduates.
That's true.
Yeah, that song has got me through a lot. And then now we're going officially old school. Stevie Wonder, Don't Worry About a Thing.
That's great. Don't you worry about a thing. If I could sing, I'd sing for you guys. And then we have to figure out copyright issues, so I don't know if I can insert it, but I'll do a little mix. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Nichelle. How can we, be a support to you and your work, and how can we just say thank you?
Yes, I mean, in general, if you're just wanting some encouragement, you can always reach me at NichelleMcCall.com. I think in general, also provide just different support and courses that way. I think also just keep an eye out for our other software companies. So
yeah.
Brainwork.com, you know, we're just going to be doing some great things. We're getting ready to launch our artificial intelligence content creator.
Come on.
So
we'll put the link for that. We'll put the link for all of that in the show notes, so that, and up on the screen, so people will be able to check it out for sure.
Yeah. So we definitely just say, you know, just keeping us in mind, checking us out there. But definitely NichelleMcCall.com. You can find me there and some resources as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Nichelle. And just a quick message to everybody listening. You have heard the information, all these just pearls of wisdom. But again, these truths cannot become a reality in your life unless you take action, right? So let me know in the show notes below. Let me know in the comment section, what actions are you going to take? What are you going to learn, right? How are you going to leverage technology? What are your gifts, your passions, your skills? Because you do have them. All right, so write those in the comment section below. And if you found any of this valuable, just smash that like button. We're trying to get 10,000 likes with this video. So smash that like button. And as always, again, talk is cheap, talk is broke, and time is money. So get started now. And one of the best ways you can do that is by becoming a member of the Student Dream community, where you'll get access to monthly mentorship, monthly coaching with people like Nichelle, so that you cannot waste 10 years trying to go from point A to Z, but you can do it in 12 months. All right, so let's do it, guys. Love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.